All right, my friends, today we are talking about the cost of living in Airbnbs here in the Philippines, specifically here in Metro Manila. So let me go ahead and grab a bench here, and I think I can slip in to these sleeping little guys, and we'll talk. All right, my friends. So today we are talking about the cost of living here in the Philippines, specifically here in the Metro Manila area. And in my last video, I did a little bit of a vlogging tour of the first few Airbnbs I stayed in around the Makati and BGC area. And today, I want to follow it up by talking about all of the Airbnbs I stayed in for my first year. So in that last video, to summarize, I stayed in 7 different Airbnb bookings for a total of 43 nights at an average cost of $44 per night. So that was my first 6 weeks. Now, if we go ahead and fast forward to February 2024, I was in a condo lease for a few months. I wound up moving out of that condo lease, and I also wound up buying a motorcycle. So I wanted to travel not only around the city, but also around the northern part of the Philippines in Luzon. I went ahead and stayed more in resorts and hotels when I was traveling, but in the city here, I wanted to really explore the different neighborhoods. So I wound up in that time frame from February 2024 to August 2024 for a period of 6 months. I stayed in 20 different Airbnb bookings, and that was that accounted for 177 nights in Airbnbs here in the Metro Manila area. And that wound up being an average cost of $32 per night. So yeah, I went from my first 6 weeks at $44 per night average cost down to $32 per night average cost. Now, how did I do that? How did I reduce that cost down to that low? Well, first and foremost, and it's pretty obvious, I got away from more of the Western style, more luxury style buildings and neighborhoods. I still was staying in places in Makati, but I wasn't staying in the luxury mega buildings that had all the amenities. I started staying in other parts of the city. There were multiple cities within the Metro Manila area. Quezon City, Mandaluyong, Pasig, I believe is how it's pronounced. And then I stayed in areas like up in QC, Quezon City, which is South Triangle. I stayed in the Capitol Hill area. I've got some notes here that I'm kind of referencing, so I make sure I don't forget anything, leave anything out. Also stayed in Eastwood City, which is, I think it's part of Quezon City, or at least it's in that same area. But it's still very westernized there. It's a little older of an area. It's kind of like a mini BGC. So yeah, had an absolutely fantastic time exploring that area. And again, like I mentioned, I stayed in different neighborhoods in Makati and just around the Metro Manila area. What was nice with that is I started getting some more local neighborhoods, starting to get into where kind of the locals live, experiencing that part of the culture. And, you know, I still got into a lot of really high-rise buildings. You know, so it's not like I went into some shanties or anything. I got some really nice buildings. They just didn't have all the amenities. So you're not going to have 3 or 4 different pools, you know, and all the glitz. You may have one pool. There may be just a small gym. That, you know, it's very typical of what you're going to find, you know, when you start moving away from more the hotel-like Western-style areas. Now, another thing I ran into, which was really big, was now that I had a motorcycle, I needed to make sure that I had parking. So, unlike the first 6 weeks of Airbnbs, now I had that extra filter I had to do. So every place I stayed, even though I got that price down to $32 per night, I needed to have parking. And most of the time it was free parking. That was one of the filters I checked in Airbnb, and you know, search for properties specifically with parking. One thing I noticed, which was really interesting, is I got away from these luxury buildings. The units in other parts of the buildings I stayed in, they actually got larger, which was interesting. So not only was I getting parking, but I was getting larger units at a reduced price. So you can see how, you know, when you get into these luxury areas, how much more expensive they really are compared to what the locals are paying. Another thing is they call them here low rises. So a building that is maybe 6 or 10 stories high, they may have just one elevator or a walk up. And specifically, which was really awesome, is I stayed in a local neighborhood in Makati, and it was a 6-story walk up. So you had to carry your bags 6 flights upstairs. But I always travel on a motorbike with a backpack. What was really nice with it is it had a private rooftop terrace. So I'm in the middle of the city. I got big high skyscrapers around me. I'm 6 floors up in a private terrace that's right off the Airbnb. And the terrace even came with outdoor seating and also lounge chairs. So I'm out there lounging, sky watching, you know, looking at the stars, drinking a fuzzy drink, middle of the night, my own little private terrace right in the heart of the city. And I was saving money. That was just incredible. And then an obvious one is if you book longer stays, again, it was 177 total nights during this time, and I was booking more like weeks and multiple weeks at a time, and that actually saved me money as well. So with that, in summary, my first year here in the Philippines, from August 2023 through August 2024, I had a total of 27 Airbnb bookings for a total of 220 nights living in Airbnbs. That's over 60% of the year in Airbnbs, with an average total cost from that first grouping of 6 weeks down to the 6-month period. The average cost wound up being for all 220 nights at $35 per night. Yeah, $35 a night for 220 nights in Airbnbs across the Metro Manila area. That's possible, because I did. So, okay, my friends, I hope these numbers helped. I hope they give you an idea kind of, what the cost is here. And like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.